Controversy swirling around Stormy Daniels' lawyer. While Michael Avenatti is exposing Michael Cohen's business dealings, it turns out he has some skeletons in his own closet. A coffee chain Avenatti co-owns reportedly owes the IRS about $5 million in back taxes. And the Treasury Department. They're investigating the possible leak of Cohen's bank records that ended up in Avenatti's hands. Morning Joe also criticizing Stormy's attorney for his frequent TV appearances.
If I'm managing Michael Avenatti at this point, I wouldn't be on the air 6 hours a day at this point. You're starting to feel, just as somebody who's in the media and watches the media, a guy who's losing a little sight of where he is, of the position he's in, and you almost get the feeling he's already auditioning for Jeff Zucker and Phil Griffin for his next TV spot.
Kimberly, this is an interesting fight because it's like two lawyers in the ring, right? And so this week, Avenatti had the bank records on Cohen, and it turns out big companies were trying to pay to play to get access to Trump. And here comes now a backlash saying, wait a minute, you're not so clean. Your hands are kind of dirty too, Mr. Avenatti. How does this play out?
Well, but he is newly representing the president, so this is his job to defend the president. The president felt, right, that there was some kind of missing absence of support for him, some oversight in terms of the investigation and the Mueller processing. So guess what? You bring somebody in, and then you have them represent. This is Rudy Giuliani's style. Whether he's representing the president, he's on television, and in terms of Avenatti, he's fair game because he's been all over the networks talking and making his case for his client. That's what lawyers do. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. But he's going to hit back because that's the president's style.
You think it's Giuliani? You think it's Giuliani that's hitting back at Avenatti, not Cohen?
No. I'm saying that there is a variety of back and forth here, but Rudy Giuliani representing the president and newly added to his team, it is his job to make sure and go over it, saying he's not going to want to debate him or whatever. And then Michael Cohen has a right to essentially represent and defend himself as a lawyer, but he should also have others doing so, and he does.
So, Jesse, do you think there's anything more to this than simply two lawyers taking pot shots at each other?
I do. I think this guy's in a fiscal hole, and he's trying to dig his way out of it and try to get fame and fortune.
Get a job, then.
He owes millions to the IRS. He owes it personally. His dissolved partnership owes it because he had a deal with some guy who's now being sued across 50 states. He's involved in pump and dump schemes. He's fleeced a few investors, allegedly. He's tied up in court. Obviously, this guy has a history of alleged fraud, yet he accuses the president of being a fraudster. It always happens with these people. When they accuse you of something, you're usually guilty of that yourself. He says he's not a political operator, but now he has this guy's bank records. How'd those get given to him? I want to know that. That's why the Treasury has opened up an investigation to him. And he's obviously a player because he's worked for Rahm Emanuel. He's donated to Democrats left and right, Barbara Boxer, John Kerry, John Edwards. This guy is clearly on a mission to get a TV show and raise money so he can afford his tax liabilities.
So, Kennedy, do you think, I listened to the litany that Jesse just ran through, but I thought to myself, well, is this just an effort to undercut someone who is doing damage to the president?
No, I think Michael Avenatti is doing damage to himself. And even if he were going after President Obama, I think he would still be seen as being very self-serving and obnoxious. When he first came out, I thought to myself, oh, this is the kind of lawyer you want, someone who's really tough, who's not going to back down. But then you realize after a few at-bats that he's really just out for himself. He no longer talks about Stormy Daniels. He's no longer trying to get to the truth. He's trying to get in front of a microphone. And, the world has enough blowhards. Right. We don't need one more TV lawyer who's making other lawyers hire their own lawyers. There's too much lawyering. And again, it is absolutely modern-day sophistry. And I don't think that there's a market for his talents. And he killed Tully's, which is not okay.
Take it to Shakespeare in the Park.
Shakespeare in the Park.
So, Greg, that was your favorite show there, Morning Joe, and your favorite guy, Donnie Deutsch.
Oh, fantastic.
So I figured
he's a brilliant man.
But I think you agreed with him.
I actually faded out when he spoke. He has that effect on me. Avenatti is pulling a Trump, and the fact that he's getting almost $200 million in free airtime from CNN and MSNBC. So he owes
a business model.
Yeah, exactly. And it is becoming absurd for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's got to consider the consequences of his actions. Maybe he wants a TV show, but what he's acting like he wants is impeachment. So he basically doesn't matter if the consequences that he unseats a growingly popular president who's making the world safer. So he's okay with that. He's also okay with the conflict and the turmoil that would happen after that. So what he's saying is, in order to get a TV show, I'm willing to risk civil violence, anything, unrest. He doesn't give a crap about what will happen to America if he succeeds. And just remember, if he does succeed, and let's say President Trump is impeached, you're going to have President Pence and you're going to have Donald Trump, a heroic martyr out there to make your life a living hell. So you're not just going to have President Pence, you're going to have Trump, which is going to be bigger than president if he actually succeeds.
Right.
But he doesn't care because all he wants is TV.
Wow, a prediction of civil war on the fly.
Wait for it.
Civil violence.
Battle of the sexes.
Civil violence.
Kind of a civil war of the sexes. That's next. This one.